Stagger Podcast.
Those guys are idiots.
This week on the Stagger Podcast, we talked to our buddy Ryan Broughton. He is a 410 sprint car driver in the state of Ohio. We asked him what he thinks of the World of Outlaws heading to Bristol on the dirt.
I'm nervous about what's coming up. The speeds that they're going to reach that place are going to be something we haven't seen in a long time. I think every bit are going to be faster than they were 20 years ago. You know, we're at a point with sprint cars now where we're breaking 20-year-old track records on half miles that we never thought would be broken. Eldora's track record was broken this year. Williams Grove's was. I think you'll see every bit of sprint cars doing 175 miles an hour around that place, if not faster.
And again, y'all, I don't know if people can process that. Like 175 miles an hour is faster than what the Cup Series was running at a 1.5-mile track this weekend on asphalt with slicks, not on dirt with tread and tires. Like I don't think you're wrong there either. But I mean,
it's got to be a sub 10-second lap, right?
And well, no, because in 2000, when they ran there before, I think the fastest they were clocking them then with a radar was at 168 at the end of the straightaways in year 2000 with 200 less horsepower.
Good night. Good night.
Well, I hope that the first 30 rows are empty, and I hope I'm now hearing that stat. I'm nervous as well.
I ran some half mile stuff. These cars do weird things at 135, 140 miles an hour. When you get them trimmed out, going that fast, they want to move around a lot, and I can't imagine adding that extra 40 miles an hour there. I mean, that's
no, it's incredible.
So
you know when someone blows by you and you're like, "How that guy's a maniac? What's he doing?" Probably 10 more than what you're doing is the answer on that. And now you're talking adding 40 miles an hour to cars that are already insane, like you said. So that's what I'm trying to give people the idea of just how much more speed we're talking here. It's unreal.
Well, and this also brings insight to the whole invite-only World of Outlaws at Bristol, because like you are sitting here being reasonable and saying, hey, I'm nervous to get out there. I'm nervous for the race. Not necessarily nervous to get out there. I'm sure if you had Tony Stewart racing equipment behind you, you'd be out there and running and maybe still have some trepidation, but you'd feel a little bit better about getting out there and running. But there's probably going to be 1 or 2 or 5 or 20 guys and gals are like, hey, I've got that car that can pass tech. I want to go race at Bristol. And that could be a liability situation, because if you don't have the parts and pieces that are designed for that, it really could be a dangerous spot, not just for that driver, but also for the drivers around them and other track personnel and things like that. So that's why I think it makes sense to make it invite only, because you got to be safe and you got to have really good equipment to make it around there safely. Yeah,
100%. I could go down there and, we could be competitive. I think we got motors that can run with those guys. We'd probably be doing 160 miles an hour. But there's 2 problems with that. One is stuff goes wrong at that speed. I work full time, obviously, so I have to consider that. I could be out of a job really quickly if I'm laid up in a hospital for a long time or whatever else.
Sure.
And 2, I could get up to that speed, but if guys like, the Selzies and Reitzels and them are doing 175, that closing speed is still significant on that big of a track. And it's just too sketchy for a guy like me to commit to it. I mean, I've got friends who are upset that they can't go race it, but I'm like, the conversations I've had with them are like, do you really need to be there? Is the thing.
Well, and I think this goes back to that whole thing, the respect level that we as fans have for racers is, just the fact that guys are willing to go out and do what you're doing on the weekends. It's a dangerous sport. There's no getting around it. It's a tough sport, and it's a physically demanding sport. It's not easy to wheel one of these things around. I mean, I know you said some of these guys are, 5'6", 130 pounds, but those guys have to be built like, little wire frames, of just corded steel to be able to turn these things. Like you said, a lot of the old school guys were built like football players, Steve Kinsers of the world, because you had to be to muscle these things around. So, just the respect we have for the drivers who go out there and put it on the line week in, week out at the local shows. Yeah, I don't think Bristol's wrong for saying, we're going to just make sure that the guys who come here know what they're doing. We've seen them handle these cars at high speeds, and also we know the equipment's going to be there. There's not going to be somebody running out there with a half-bent frame saying, no, it's good, I can make it. Like, you don't want that going at 140, let alone at 160, 170. So, I think it's the right call too, but that's a really good perspective that hadn't considered.
from the racers for the most part, it's been a pretty popular decision. I mean, I've heard a few local guys, who've got upset about it, but the biggest upset about it has been a lot of fans who don't think through that. And, but from the racer perspective, I don't think there's a lot of guys who have a major problem with it. We all understand that.
What are we talking? Do we know how many invite? Like, it's probably still going to be 30, 40 invites, I'm guessing.
You're not going to be missing anybody you'd want to see. I mean, right. All 15 of the Outlaws are going to be there. The top of the All-Star guys are going to be there.
For more, subscribe to the Stagger Podcast on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just search Stagger Podcast.